Deepest waters won't take me, maybe.
I'ma get mine, just a matter of time.
Deepest water, maybe.
I'ma get mine, just a matter of time.
Oh, it's a game night, or should I say
Ball night.
yes, for BYU men's basketball. They'll take on LMU in Los Angeles. I'm Spencer Linton. This is Jarom Jordan to my left, and you are watching your day-to-day BYU sports play-by-play. We call it BYU Sports Nation.
Yes, we do, and we need some answers about what's going on with BYU men's basketball. 7-game win streak, it's awesome. Should Trevin Niles come back? How can BYU play its way back onto the bubble? I talked to Tyler Haws earlier about all those things. All right, what's up, Tyler? How you doing, man?
Doing great, Jarom. How are you, man?
I'm great. Game day at LMU. We'll talk about the matchup with the Lions in a second, but our question of the day, we want to get your opinion. What can BYU men's basketball do to play itself back into the bubble?
Well, it's definitely an uphill battle from here. It's something we've talked a lot about, Jarom. You know, the stain on the season was, you know, the South Dakota and the UVU game. And if they would have found a way to, you know, win those games and get over that hump a little bit earlier, this whole conversation would be very different. But they're going to have to find a way to, I think, at least finish second in league with those quad 4 losses. They're going to have to beat St. Mary's, and they're probably going to have to beat Gonzaga at least once if they want to be in question, and they've got to perform well in the tournament. You know, the one thing that I will say that most committee members look at when evaluating tournament teams is who's playing the best basketball right now during the year. And I think BYU definitely is trending that way. They're on a big win streak, and they're playing really, really well. There's a chance they get Trevin Niles back. There's some factors that come into play that, you know, may make an argument for a tournament team, but they're going to have to win games, and you can't drop games that you're supposed to win, which is always a scary thing in conference play, right? Because there are some teams that are just scary, weird gyms, weird circumstances, but really good players. And, you know, even though it's a quad 3 or quad 4 game, there are really good players that can light it up. And so you don't want to have one of those things happen. But really, if you can finish second and beat Gonzaga and play well in the tournament and continue to get better, I think there's maybe a chance and maybe an argument to get in there.
I think if you finish second in the WCC, you're certainly in a great spot. Obviously, the resume's got to match, but typically that second team has at least been on the bubble, if not in. 3 teams has been hard to come by in league history, just a handful of times for that. But January seems to be the month because BYU's got Gonzaga and St. Mary's at home. So if BYU is going to do it, they've got to do it this month.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, the opportunity is right now, and we've said it. They're playing their best ball right now and shooting the ball well. And listen, against St. Mary's and Gonzaga, I mean, you have to play well on both ends of the floor to beat those teams. They're not just going to roll over and die, right? You've got to go in there and beat them. And you know, I think BYU also has been plagued by this turnover bug, and they've found ways to win. I don't know how they're continuing to turn the ball over around 20 times and find a way to win.
4-1, Ty. It's a winning formula.
That does not happen, Jarom. So, and you cannot do that against St. Mary's and Gonzaga.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to take care of the ball. They're going to have to shoot the ball really well. But I mean, we've said it all year long. All the talent is there. All the right pieces are in place, and they're trending upward. And so I could definitely see them having a big January.
It's important, and BYU, I argued earlier, needs to probably go at least 13-3, given what happened in non-conference with the 5 losses, to give itself a chance to get to 24 or 25 wins. And then some of the numbers I found say, you know, at 24, you go to 75% chance to make the tourney. 25, you go up to about 95%. 13-3 in league feels like a stretch, though, given the inconsistency at times of this team. How in the world could BYU possibly go 13-3? Can they keep it going? What have you seen that makes you feel like there's a chance that BYU could, like you said, finish as high as second? Because right now St. Mary's is the highest it's ever been in net today, number 12.
Yeah, so, I mean, a couple of things. I think starting on the defensive end, all the right pieces are in place. I mean, you've got really good rim protection and Foose and Atiki. I think they've done a really good job of showing what they can do. But then you have, guys like Gideon George that are elite defenders on the wing. You got Spencer Johnson back, just long athletic guys that know how to play defense, understand team concept, and they're playing really well. And so, and then they're shooting the ball well on the other end. And I think if you get Trevin Niles back, you could definitely make a run. And I think, there's going to be moments, there's going to be some scary moments where, that it feels like the season and the tournament is in the balance. I thinking back to my brother's senior year a couple of years ago. I mean, there were some scares there. At San Diego, St. Mary's, obviously, this team's going to have to step up and make plays down the stretch. But, they've had a couple of games this year, Jarom, where they've had to figure out how to win with 5-6 minutes left and the game's tied or they're down a few points. I mean, Creighton, Missouri State, Dallin Hall was huge in those games. I think another factor is just the leadership on this team. Rudy Williams is a guy that comes to mind. He's embraced his role coming off the bench. He's scoring at a high clip and doing well. So I really feel comfortable with how the roles on the team have shaken out and that first and second unit.
Certainly tonight is the next step. If BYU loses tonight, maybe what we're talking about doesn't even matter because it's early in conference. You got to go get some wins at LMU. This is a game last year, Tyler, where BYU had to come back down 17. Cam Shelton and Kelly Leapepe and Jalen Anderson are doing some good work for Stan Johnson and the Lions. What do you think of the matchup tonight that in a lot of places is a one-point game?
Yeah, LMU's playing really well and doing some good things. They, always have really good guards, high-level guards that can score. And Lepepe inside's obviously a tough matchup. But, this is a team that is a little bit scary. You look at their non-conference resume, and it's impressive. I mean, they beat Georgetown, they beat Nevada. They beat another really notable team, and they're playing good basketball. And so I think they are coming off a loss at Pacific, but they have really good pieces and they've shown what they're capable of. And so this is the challenge always in WCC play. Like, these teams are so capable and tough, and they definitely have moments going in and out, and it's really easy to overlook somebody and say, oh, this is an easy win, but you cannot do that. And BYU's not in a position right now to overlook anybody. And so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it was Wake Forest in overtime, so another nice win, as you mentioned, for LMU. Okay, you mentioned Trevin Niles. He potentially could come back soon. We'll see if it's tonight or the next couple of weeks. Is it worth it for him to come back if it's just part of conference play, or should he redshirt this year and have 2 years in the Big 12?
Yeah, it's tough to say. That'll be a personal decision, and that'll be a decision he makes with his family and coaches. But I think if he is itching to play and feels healthy enough to jump in and be able to contribute right away. That's only a question that he can answer. He knows where his body's at. And, I will say I had a few injuries in my career and playing overseas, and it's tough to after you've been out a few months, it's a transition period coming back. It takes time to get in the loop of practice, get up to game speed, game pace, and one of the most surprising things is just how physical the game is. You have to get used to and be confident in your body to push people around and get in the mix. You can't be playing hesitant at all. It's got to be all out effort. And so if he's there and he's comfortable with using his year of eligibility, I would say he could make a huge difference. I mean, he provides consistent three-point shooting, experience on the floor. Last year, Coach Pope and Coach Feger talked about how his defense really improved, and we saw moments of that. And so I don't know, it will just have to be a personal decision with them, but I definitely think he can help.
He's a big-time three-point shooter right now. Noah Waterman, the guy in the 40s, right? Perhaps Trevin can come in and make a splash initially. Maybe it takes a sec for him to get up to speed. I don't know. Could affect rotations. More on that coming up in the coming weeks as we await that. Let's finish with this. There was some conversation about potentially the NCAA tournament considering expanding to as many as 90 teams. Would you like it if that happened, and would that be good for BYU in your opinion?
Yeah, I saw that, Jarom. I don't know. There's something magical about keeping it where it's at, because it's an elite group of teams, and it is so hard to get in that tournament. And that always creates a lot of talk and a lot of stories about resume, preseason schedule, and conference play. And I think it's fun that there's always a chance for these, low-level, mid-major conferences every team has a chance to get in, and that would still be the case. But, I just worry that, that prestige of getting in the tournament would lose a little bit of value. But, you look at it on the other side, and I mean, I wouldn't mind having a couple extra weeks of watching games. I think that would be really fun. And really, I think those top 100 teams, you're talking about the 90 best teams in the country. I really think there's more and more teams and programs that are playing top level basketball. And so, I'm a little bit torn inside, because I want it to remain that, that elite level of competition and storyline and talk throughout the year. But, you can't argue watching more basketball.
More basketball is fun, and it depends. Do you want to see BYU in the tourney, or do you want to enjoy March Madness? We want both, of course, but the Big 12 is certainly going to be a challenge. Well, good stuff, Ty. I appreciate you giving great insight, of course, that we can see on BYU Sports Nation Game Day, which we will have a 1-hour pregame show for Gonzaga next week. It's not on BYUtv, but we got you in the pregame. Spence on the court. It's going to be fun. We'll be in studio with Blaine. It'll be great. And I appreciate you repping BYU Sports Nation with the hat, man. Looks like you got the swag.
I've got my hat on backwards, but
let's go, baby.
There it is, right there.
Let's go, repping the brand. Tyler, thanks for the time, man.
Thanks, Jarom. All right.